first of all, always a pleasure seeing you.
Good to see you, Pac-Man. You look good.
Well, I'm doing okay. We're just grinding, getting through another day, another dollar, one of those routines. Before we get to the business at hand of today, tomorrow, and so forth, I want to go backwards a little bit. I was just telling you, Gary Gait joined us last week, fresh off winning the ACC championship in men's lacrosse. And for folks that maybe don't understand, Central New York, pretty much a hot button. That is a place that cares about men's lacrosse like nobody's business. The importance of bringing back some hardware as the ACC champion to Syracuse, how big a deal is that?
Really important, because you're right. I mean, it's part of the culture. It's part of the fabric of Central New York. You know, it goes back to the indigenous people, right? So there's tremendous connectivity there. There's tremendous passion. And to beat Notre Dame and Duke, and to win the ACC championship, it's the toughest league in lacrosse in the country. Tremendous accomplishment, and the community was really jacked up on that one.
Well, Gary was fired up last week, but then you have Harvard, who was, again, it's kind of a thorn in the side during the regular season. And yesterday was scary, but at the end of the day, a W, survive and advance.
It was amazing, and the dome was electric when we made that run. It was electric, and and Gary said it, and the players did too. I mean, the crowd helped us get over the finish line yesterday. Harvard's really good. They beat us the first time, and to win yesterday and to win in overtime, and it was pretty cool. Owen Hiltz, last game in the Dome as a senior, great player. To see him score the game winner, it was special.
All right, that's one piece of business. Let's go to you personally. Men's basketball committee, you've been a part of all this many times, but again, Bubba Cunningham doing a great job representing the ACC, the big picture. Tag, you're it. How about that additional responsibility?
Honored to represent the conference, honored to represent Syracuse. Bubba did a great job representing the conference. Obviously was chair of the committee this past year, so I have big shoes to fill, but I'll do my best.
I'm sure you're going to have a gazillion conversations, and you probably already have.
Yes.
For folks at home that hear us talk about that, kind of explain the additional duties, what that means. I mean, it's one thing to run an athletic department at Syracuse, and then you have something like that thrown on top of it.
Well, I mean, obviously, that is one of the more prestigious committees, right, to be assigned to. There's going to be a lot of in-season work. I look forward to the summer meetings in early July down in Savannah, Georgia. Really get a good sense, right, of what the obligation, the commitment is, but it's going to involve, a lot of basketball. It's going to involve, a commitment to the conference, commitment to the NCAA in terms of when the committee meets. And, I want to learn as much as I possibly can going into that so that I'm well positioned and well prepared for ultimately when we get into March and we decide who the 68 are.
All right, let's go more specific in terms of the ACC and the men's basketball. Listen, as you well know, this is a proud tradition, right? ACC basketball, the ones I grew up with 100 years ago. It's been a big deal. You obviously had a time with the Big East, now the ACC transition, which is now, I feel, Syracuse is an ACC school. Getting the league back to the standard that all of us expect as fans, forget media, as fans, what do you think needs to happen? Big picture.
I mean, you start with the simplest thing, right? Win non-conference games,
That's it.
right? But I think, again, it's how we resource, right? It's the coaches. It's going to be how competitive we are from a rev share component, from an NIL component. But there's no question to me that this conference can reboot quickly and can assert itself, to the rightful position that the ACC's had, which is the greatest conference in the history of college basketball. Undeniably. And I think we can get back to that. And it's going to be competitive, there's no question. But I think the conference can do it.
I've said this 1,000 times, there are certain places around the country where basketball runs the show, where people are worried about it 24/7, 365. We're blessed, I think, in this league that there are spots within the conference footprint where while football is taking center stage, and that's where the world's going, you know what? You go to Chapel Hill, you go to Durham, you go to Louisville, and I even say you go to Syracuse, New York, they're worried, right? It needs to be good. There needs to be a standard by which, guess what? When you think men's basketball, it is an automatic.
Absolutely.
And in some respects, from a Syracuse perspective, it's one of the schools that needs to get better.
Correct.
Right, period. And you'd be the first one to say it.
There's an expectation, right, that our fans have, right? And we've not met that expectation the past couple of years. And we need to meet it. And everybody understands it. I think Adrian's done and the staff have done a terrific job in terms of the portal, in terms of bringing people in who can complement what we have coming back. We're fortunate we have two really good players coming back, right? J.J. Starling and Donnie Freeman. So you build around that with the portal, and then also, what we've done from a high school recruiting standpoint. Shadiq White's a top 30 player. Kyan Anthony's a top 30 player. He's MVP of the Jordan Brand Classic. 2 other high school players coming in as well, and with the portal guys. And it's building a roster. It's not like, okay, how many scorers can you add? It's adding people that you can build the roster that you can win, where people understand what their role is, right? And when you have 2 scorers coming back in JJ and Donnie, you need that third scorer, but then everybody else needs to be complementary. And I think the staff has done a really, really good job. So I'm excited about what we've added. Now we've got to get them on campus. We've got to get them working together. One of the things that I think is really hard for basketball is I think it takes time for teams to develop their identity and their chemistry, right? Because there's such changeover year to year.
Yeah, the transfer portal's changed everything. But again, I think of this league, and again, Duke and Carolina, for the most part, have done a great job. What Pat Kelsey did this past year at Louisville, it's spectacular. What Will Wade potentially could do at NC State, another place that cares about basketball and expects to be good. You guys, needless to say, Coach Odom now at the University of Virginia, a place we've got a great building tradition, history, got a national championship banner up there. There are places where it matters, and it just seems like Syracuse is primed for the bounce back. It just feels that way.
Absolutely. I feel good about where we are, what we've done. Excited, for next year.
No, you talk about putting the pieces together, whether it be a basketball team, and from a chemistry perspective, it's no different than when you're running an athletic department, right? Big picture. And I told you this right before we started the interview. The interviews and interactions that I've had with your football coach, Fran Brown, I just think the world of him. I really do. And I told you a second ago, when you hired him, I'm like, well, listen, Georgia gets a bunch of guys. I mean, I don't know this Fran Brown from the man on the moon, but the first time we ever had an interview with him, direct, right to the point, no nonsense, tells you straight. Might not like what he says, but hey, here's the real world.
Right.
What was it about your meetings with him that you said, you know what, this is the right guy for Syracuse?
I think he had the right vision for what we needed to do as a program, right? To reboot the program is his recruiting philosophy, right? Really, it's the I-95 corridor, right? From DMV up through New England prep schools, you spot recruit in Florida and other areas. So that was clearly part of it, is just his philosophy, his strategy to how to build the program back. But what really impresses me is his authenticity. And it's real. And he's authentic with everyone that he's with. And he's authentic with the players. And he will tell recruits, like, don't come here if you won't embrace hard. It's not going to be easy. But if you come here and you make the commitment, we'll make the commitment to you. You'll grow as a person and you'll grow as a player.
Well, I like him. I like him so much. He hit a home run with it.
And I think he's got a great staff, too. I think he's done a really, really good job with the staff. I mean, Elijah Robinson, defensive coordinator, great pedigree. Jeff Nixon, he's got NFL experience. He's got college experience, did a great job last year. So we've got 2 really good coordinators, and then the support staff, the other 8 assistants and the support staff. He hires really, really talented coaches.
You have the great ability and advantage of understanding television, since you've worked at ESPN for a number of years, and understand the lay of the land and the crazy world that we're in now. Charlie Baker is here today, president of the NCAA. I mean, can you kind of take us behind closed doors, at least a little bit on the layman's terms, about, number one, we all know what the issues are at hand, but is there a chance of any solution here, or are we just kind of fooling ourselves?
Well, I think,
That's a complex, I know that's not an easy answer to that question.
It's, you need, the House settlement, right? Looks like we're going to get it across the finish line, right? And we're in there today, implementation, right? And learning about timing and learning about, okay, you got the cap, right? Then you've got the third-party NIL, right? With Deloitte, et cetera, that type of thing. So, I mean, it's a new era. College sports is we've known it. I tell our staff, I said, you know what? College sports as we know it, it's in the Smithsonian right now, Pac-Man. Yeah. And there's a nice little exhibit, here lies college sports from the day the NCAA was founded to 2025. It's a totally new environment, and you've got to react. And that environment is going to be dynamic, and I think there'll be continued change. So we've got to be able to pivot. We have to be able to strategize quickly in terms of how the new environment, how it unfolds.
Can you do that?
Have to. It's going to be hard.
That's a better
It's going to be
answer.
challenging, but you have to. You've got to embrace this, right? And there may be things that I don't like about it, right? But that really doesn't matter. It's like, here's the environment, here's the era. How are we going to compete? How are we going to compete successfully? That's what you have to focus on.
Is everyone built to be able to do that, or do you think we're going to see some folks go, hey, you know what, sounds great, but you know what, that's just not how we're built?
I think what's critically important is more important than ever. It's always important, but you need alignment, right? And we have great alignment at Syracuse. Chancellor Severud has been incredibly supportive of athletics, supportive of what I've wanted to do, what the department's wanted to do. The board has as well. You need really strong alignment between your board, your president and your chancellor, and your athletic director.
Without that, you got no shot, do you?
Without that, you're in a world of hurt, in my opinion.
From a financial perspective, the conference changing to 18 games on the men's side, it sounds to me on the surface, you have a front row seat, but to me that at least gives the flexibility to every school, whether it be Syracuse, BC, Miami, everybody's got their different agenda and so
Right.
forth. But it seems to me that makes a ton of sense to allow flexibility. But at the end of the day, you got to win games outside the league, don't you?
Yeah, and that's what we have to do. And I'm a huge proponent of 18 because it does give the school more flexibility, right? And there's some things that we want to do, and we're working on that, right? That I think will be really good for our program and great for our fans. And if you just beat up on each other, what's it do to your net? You beat up on each other, it's going to impact come March. So, again, I think it gives every school more opportunity to do some creative things, right, with your non-conference schedule. But in the end, again, it's an oversimplification, but it's 100% accurate. We have to win games.
From a scheduling perspective with football, what do you see on the agenda? Anything unusual? I mean, Clemson just makes this big announcement with Notre Dame. I suspect we're going to probably see some more of that kind of stuff around the board, don't you think?
Yeah, I think so. And I think one of the things that, we build our schedule, like we've got Penn State in 27 and 28, home and home. Obviously, we have Notre Dame this year. We're at Notre Dame. We host Notre Dame in 26. I think you want to build your schedule strategically in your non-conference because you don't want to overload yourself non-conference. But at the same time, like our conference schedule this year is hard, and we're playing Tennessee and Notre Dame. But if you're going to be good, if you're going to be great, you got to play the best, and you have to beat them. So I'm not. I think we'll have some conversations. On the football schedule, maybe some minor tweaks, but I think where we are is the new dynamic of scheduling. We're playing each other more frequently. I was not a fan of divisions because there were schools that we were playing Miami once every 6 years, hosting once every 12 years.
Yeah.
Makes no sense whatsoever. The fact we're playing each other more frequently, it means we've also we've kept our rivalries, right, which we need to. I think it worked really well last year.
I do too. Listen, always like talking to you. You're one of the smartest guys in the business. And again, congrats on the committee with the men's basketball and all the success. Keep on rocking with Gary Gate and the boys, and we'll see you down the road. Enjoy the rest of your time.
I appreciate it. You too.
There it is.